Hey there, I'm Kevin Downey, and I run an agency called Kevin Downey, where we help companies with their recruiting, sales, and marketing efforts. You can visit our website at kevinmdowney.com. Okay, today's topic, how do you build an inside sales team for a B2B company from scratch? What are the things you have to think about? I want to walk through this step by step. This video will be relatively short, but let's look at, my shirt is just hiding a copy here. First let's talk about the advantage really quick, just before we get into how we do it, the advantage of remote inside sales reps. So inside sales teams, they can work inside. By meeting inside, we meet predominantly on the phone or working, Zoom, MS Teams, that kind of stuff for their sales calls. But a lot of phone work, some email, that kind of thing, maybe some LinkedIn. But they can work inside your office, right? So that's a great thing. I love inside being in your company headquarters, culture, a little more control, right? Better training situation. But there is an advantage to remote inside sales teams. So remote meaning you have the whole country to work with and everyone works from home selling there. Now, again, the advantage is work inside the company headquarters. I mentioned those. I'm a big fan. But what is the other side of that? What's the advantage if they're all remote? Well, from a recruiting standpoint, you can find much better talent for the price tag. Because the thing is, as an employer, when you're trying to get them to come into the office, you don't have near the leverage. When you get the remote job seekers, when we run a recruiting gig and we build a funnel to drive inbound candidates and that kind of thing, we're looking at 100 plus a day on remote, sometimes hundreds. We've seen 1,000 in one day come in on a client campaign, right? You have enormous leverage as an employer when it comes to that. So you're going to have so many more candidates. You're going to have more maybe fine-tuned experience that you're looking for, more right fit people. And because they want the job so badly and they want to work remotely so badly, you have leverage. Right? So you're going to be able to drive that salary down somewhat, right? You're going to be able to get the cost down because you just have that many more people to work with. So that's very, very advantageous from a sales team building standpoint, inside sales team standpoint. Okay, so what do you have to do? What are the steps? First, you've got to build prospect lists. That's the very first thing I would do. What does my overall audience look like? Locally, regionally, nationwide, that we're going to be going after as a sales team? Are we talking 10,000 contacts? 50,000, 100,000, a million? How many contacts are we dealing with, right? Because I want to build a contact list that makes sense for a rep to be able to handle. Typically a number of contacts, that's meaning more than one person in a company typically, that you might go after in a lot of companies. You might have a contact list of about 10,000 for a sales rep, right? To build a customer base from. Right? Might only have a couple thousand companies in there, might have 5,000 companies in there, depending on the size of the companies you're going after. But we're talking maybe 10,000 contacts, give or take. Okay. So now I want to look at that and then I can plan. So you want to plan your sales team structure. I have to consider budget, prospect list size. How many reps can we really handle if we have 50,000 people to go after? Okay. Am I better off having business development reps drive calls, scheduled calls to me as a principal in a small business at first? Or should I hire a sales rep, right? Should I have business development reps do the outreach and do scheduled calls for the sales team or the sales people? So I can have fewer salespeople and more business development representatives, right? Sometimes that makes more sense. This depends upon budget and a lot of other things, right? If we are more constrained on budget, we want to think about building the sales team by going business development to who are going to be less expensive, to scheduled calls for sales. And in a really tiny business, that might mean a principal, right? And as you grow, then you bring in your first real salesperson. Maybe it's one of those business development reps that you promote. But now we've got that sales rep who's going to be more expensive, scheduled on calls all of the time. They're not wasting time doing prospecting. Sometimes that kind of structure makes more sense. Something we have to think about when we're building a sales team. All depends on what you do, who your target audience is, what kind of capital you have, so on and so forth. There's all kinds of things, cash flow, et cetera. Okay. But you got to build that sales team structure, and then you have to build a business development process or system. So if you have sales reps doing their own phone call, their own calls, their own prospecting, They aren't scheduling appointments per se, obviously, for someone else. So they're going out, doing the initial cold outreach, generating leads, sending some information, then scheduling a follow-up call, and so on and so forth, all contained within that one person, right? Within a salesperson. Whereas if we have business development reps scheduling appointments for sales or generating leads even for sales, right? Now we've got business development reps as part A, and then sales takes over when we have a decision maker with a pain point. Hey, I've got X decision maker and they have Y pain point that we can solve, right? That's a sales situation. Now we give that to sales. Now it might be a lead or it may be scheduled calls. But we have to have a process and a system in place for our reps to follow in order for them to be successful, okay? And then finally, we've got to recruit and train the reps on the system, on the process. So once we identify the correct structure for us as a company at time A, right, when we start, and that may change over time. It may evolve, right? We're going to recruit and then train our reps on the process and system that we have built in order for them to be successful. Okay, so that's what it looks like building, an inside sales team from scratch. And again, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but hopefully this information helps you. If you have any questions, reach out to us, kevinmdowney.com. Thanks for being here today. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.